Hello everybody and welcome to The Online Sociologist. I'm Ryan. In this video, we're going to do a deep dive into one of the most important concepts in all of sociology, social facts. But before we do, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button for more content related to sociology. Okay, let's get into it. If you're somewhat new to sociology, maybe just starting an Introduction to Sociology course, you have probably come across the concept of social facts early on in the textbook. The OpenStax textbook defines social facts as the laws, morals, values, religious beliefs, customs, fashions, rituals, and all of the cultural rules that govern social life. George Ritzer defines social facts in his textbook Introduction to Sociology as macro-level phenomenon, such as social structures and cultural norms and values that stand apart from and impose themselves on people. And my own textbook over at theonlinesociologist.com defines social facts as the elements of social life, such as norms, institutions, and values that exist outside individuals and shape their behavior. In this video, I don't want to just list the definitions. Instead, I want to take a deeper dive into it by exploring how the French sociologist Emile Durkheim developed the concept in the first chapter of his 1895 book, The Rules of Sociological Method. Writing during the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Durkheim played a foundational role in establishing sociology as a distinct academic discipline. This book remains one of the cornerstones of classical sociology. In it, Durkheim not only defines what social facts are, but also explains how they should be studied. Moreover, Durkheim didn't write the Rules of Sociological Method simply to share his ideas. Instead, he wrote it as a defense of sociology, what to him makes it a science, and how to carry out inquiry. He believed that sociology was suffering due to a lack of distinction of its subject matter and method. Sociology was for studying the social, but Durkheim believed that what constituted the social was imprecise and could describe almost any human activity. Moreover, earlier sociologists based their studies on abstract concepts and ideas like progress or cooperation, rather than on tangible, observable realities. To Durkheim, this approach wasn't scientific, but instead what he called an ideological analysis. Durkheim developed the concept of the social fact to argue against this trend. In doing so, he identified three key properties of social facts. The first property is externality. To Durkheim, social facts exist outside of the individual's consciousness. This means ways of thinking, feeling, and behaving, though created socially, take on a life of their own. They exist outside of us, shaping us long after we're born. Put simply, we don't create our own customs, languages, or monetary systems, but instead, we're born into them, and we're educated and socialized about them throughout our entire lives. More than that, these beliefs, practices, and behaviors precede our existence and stand as objective realities outside of us and continuing on even after we die. The second property that Durkheim identifies is coercion or constraint. He explains that social facts are endued with compelling and coercive power, pressing upon the individual whether or not they consent to it. This constraint is always present, but it becomes most visible when someone resists it. Now, constraints for Durkheim can either be formal or informal. On the formal side, we have laws. Laws, in essence, are codified social facts. For example, if you're caught breaking a law, you're going to be arrested. In terms of informal constraints, though, Durkheim points to ordinary practices such as language, currency, and systems of measurement. As he puts it, I am not forced to speak French with my compatriots, nor to use the legal currency, but it is impossible for me to do otherwise. If I tried to escape the necessity, my attempt would fail miserably. He concludes that even when resistance is possible, the constraining force of these facts makes life unmistakably felt. Now, the third property that Durkheim identifies is generality. However, Durkheim adds an important clarification here. Just because something is widespread doesn't automatically make it general. Its generality is a result of something deeper, which is its independence from individuals. Remember, social facts don't stem from individuals, but instead are created collectively. And, as previously noted, they're imposed on individuals. This is what makes it general. In other words, we all don't say please and thank you just because we individually thought it would be a good idea. We do it because the rule already exists in society and we're taught to follow it. In short, social facts are powerful not because they're popular, but because they come from outside of us and shape how we behave. So, now that we've gone through the three properties, let's look at a quick example. Think about the act of standing in line. You don't come complete with an official rule book for standing in line. But from an early age, you learn to wait your turn. In other words, you didn't invent the practice. That is externality. Now, if you cut in line, people are going to stare at you, confront you, or even report you to the manager. That right there, that's constraint. And almost everyone follows this rule in public spaces, from banks to amusement parks to your local McDonald's, because it's collectively enforced. And that's generality. So, now that we know what makes a social fact, let's look at the two forms that they take according to Durkheim. First, there are what he called crystallized social facts. These are well-established organized facts like legal codes, religious ceremonies, or social institutions like a bank or a school. Because these have a definite permanent form, they are much easier for a sociologist to study objectively. And second, there are social currents. These are less solidified but equally powerful. Durkheim provides examples such as the great waves of enthusiasm, indignation, and pity that can sweep through a crowd. These currents come from outside any single individual and carry people along in spite of themselves. Once the group disperses, those same emotions can feel alien to that same individual who just felt them, proving that those emotions were externally imposed rather than generated from within the person themselves. Durkheim ends this first chapter by clearly laying out his definition of social facts, stating, "A social fact is any way of acting, whether fixed or not, capable of exerting over the individual an external constraint, or which is general over the whole of a given society, whilst having an existence of its own, independent of its individual manifestations." However, the importance of social facts doesn't just lie in how they are defined, but in what they allow sociology to do and how they impact the field as a whole. At a time when sociology's boundaries and purpose were unclear, Durkheim argued that the social world has its own distinct forces. These forces are external to the individual, shared collectively, and capable of being observed and studied. By insisting that social facts be treated as things, meaning they're real, measurable, and grounded in evidence, Durkheim provided sociology with both its subject matter and a method. This approach allowed the discipline to move beyond speculation and ideology towards that of scientific inquiry. And this contribution was transformative. It showed that sociology could offer real insight into how society functions and how individual lives are shaped by broader patterns. Even actions that we think of as personal or emotional can be better understood when we consider the social structures that influence them. For Durkheim, recognizing and studying social facts was not just a theoretical exercise, it was the foundation for understanding the larger social world. Okay, I want to thank you all for watching this video. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, complaints, or critiques, make sure to leave a comment below and make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.